from my own personal experience, inheriting money from my grandpa, I know that I can say that I've been giving a lot of blessings through that, but I can also say that money without a bigger purpose to it just produces more anxiety. And so one, I just want to lean in and spend the time with clients to go really deep and help them figure out that purpose. And two,
welcome to another episode of Talkin' Shop. I have my friend Russ Ford with me, which if you saw the Advisor Growth Community video from last week, same Russ. But he brought something up that's pretty cool, that it was basically a year ago around this time, which was the first time we met.
Yeah.
And that was before you launched your firm, right?
Yeah, so it was almost exactly a year ago, I think, looking back at our text threads, that I sat at this table and I was like, at my old firm, not super happy, thinking about launching my own firm. And you were one of the first guys that I talked to be like, what's this all about? Can I do it? Should I do it? And you were like, do it now. And yeah, we're sitting here exactly a year from then talking about it. So it's kind of cool.
I'm a very optimistic person, and I can see success in people. I really want them to follow their passions. Did I steer you down the wrong path, or did you make the right decision?
I can say, I mean, maybe I'm in the honeymoon period still, but I would say life is light years different than it was in such a positive way for me. And I think part of being steered down this path, the way that's impacted me is just me learning so much about what my why and my purpose was, and doing just self-discovery is what like launching my own business really forced me to do, and line up my values with, you know, my business. And so it's been an amazing self-discovery path and self-awareness path that's led to some really awesome times. So, and it's hard, don't get me wrong, right, but it's been a lot of fun. So,
well, and
thank you, I'd say.
No, you're welcome. I wasn't looking for that. I think the key is that you're able to align your business with your values.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I want everybody to be able to do that. I want everybody to do that with their lives as well. That's why I really love like the concept of life planning. Not everybody gets to. It's not always possible, but I'm glad to see that your launch went real well. I know you had a big launch party and did a good job with that. And what I wanted to talk about today was you have a unique vision for your business. Yeah. So as we see in our profession with, you know, Schwab trying to gobble up TD Ameritrade, like growth is the thing.
Yes.
If you're not growing, you're dying. Yeah. So grow. But you don't really want to always be growing, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So share with everybody, you know, kind of your business model, and then I also want you to share a little bit about kind of the planning approach you're taking with your clients. But really, your unique feature to your business.
Yeah, I mean, so if I can back up for a second, I guess like the way this business model came to be was just really figuring out what I wasn't liking about my old business model at a bigger firm, where it was just, you know, kind of more all the time, constantly incentivized to sell more and get to the next client, the next sale, instead of working really deep with clients. And so I was always stretched way too thin. It wasn't a good recipe for me. In my honest opinion, I wasn't giving it my all to every individual client because I was just stretched way too thin. And it was when I was in my good moments in the last 6 years in financial planning in my old business models, people would joke with me about how, you know, I'm like their marriage counselor or something like that, right? And those would always be the conversations that I enjoyed the most, right? Where we're diving that deep into stuff. That it's just truly meaningful. And so I wanted to build a business model where I could really invest that kind of time into people. And so that really spawned the business model. And I guess the key tenets of what, you know, you're bringing up would be, I'm limiting it to 40 clients, and it's just me at my firm right now, so that's 40 clients total. But if there are other advisors, it might be 40 clients per advisor. We'll see. I don't know if that'll become a thing or not. 40 clients and then flat and capped fees. So I'm not charging percents of assets. I'm not making commissions, which, I mean, that's not new. There's lots of other advisors doing that. But my also personal viewpoint has been that, like, from my own personal experience, inheriting money from my grandpa, I know that I can say that I've been giving a lot of blessings through that, but I can also say that money without a bigger purpose to it just produces more anxiety. And so one, I just want to lean in and spend the time with clients that go really deep and help them figure out that purpose. And two, if you add up the flat and capped fees and the limited number of clients, like, I'm just not about more, right? I think there's more to life than that. So yeah, I mean, I
really like that comment that money without purpose just brings more anxiety.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that as the intro clip to the video. I thought that was great. Is that something that, like, not to get too deep, is that something that you personally felt?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a big part of my life story and money story, if you will, which, I mean, I do think that those two things are intertwined, and why I do what I do. But I've gotten more comfortable with sharing it. But yeah, I mean, I have always struggled with, I mean, I didn't always know to call it this, but anxiety, even depression, if you will. And money really just enabled that, because you're just throwing money to enable, bad behaviors that enabled anxiety and depression. And so really, I mean, what launching my own firm helped me do is really give me more purpose to figure out, okay, what am I trying to do? And now it's just like, I feel way more comfortable talking about it and being secure in who I am, and that's not my identity. So, yeah.
I know you didn't expect that question, but I didn't expect that, so I didn't know that's going to come. That's
I mean, that's what people, like, I'm full transparency. Like, I just, I'm a huge believer in transparency, and the more we talk about, like, the stuff in our heads that we're insecure about, the better. So, I mean, that's what I try and do with my clients. I think we all have past struggles that we're either embarrassed about or, or super proud of, maybe. But the more we understand those, I think the better off we'll be. Yeah. So I actually, this is kind of a random thought, but I'll just share it. I was listening to a podcast recently, an interview, this isn't political at all, but with Monica Lewinsky, of all people. And she is this big, long interview, and what she's done out of, like, a crazy young adulthood, right, with her life and spawning purpose to help others out of, like, her own journey and story, is pretty amazing. And there was a quote in there from her about focusing on moving forward rather than just moving on, because moving on to her feels like you're just trying to, like, erase the past, right, that it never happened. But moving forward is really taking, what you've learned from your past and just growing from there. And so yeah, I mean, with my own money story, I'm not trying to ignore, my own insecurities from the past. It's just learning a lot from it and sharing it.
So why 40 clients?
It's a good question. I mean, it's slightly arbitrary. Right. I mean, I'm not going to lie. The way I got to it was just trying to figure out back into, well, how many hours do I think it takes to spend with each client, the way I want to spend it, behind the scenes and face-to-face with clients. Talked with all sorts of other advisors, starting with yourself a year ago, and then many advisors since then, and figured out different models. There were some other advisors around the country that limited clients, and that had similar types of focuses, and that limited to that number. So that's where I picked the number from. I don't pretend to have it all figured out right now. Like, maybe 2 years from now we're sitting here and I've adjusted that slightly, right?
Which is okay.
Yeah, right. It's part of being a business owner, but I feel like it's a really good starting point, And it's funny, the question I've actually gotten from clients, because I've, like, put that out there transparently, is actually, it's the opposite question of what I thought of, like, well, why not more? It's also, they're actually like, do you think you can really provide service for that many clients?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, I actually don't, unless I get good at my processes behind the scenes, which is what I'm working on now. But, you know, like, it just depends, right? Like, if they're looking for more than just one meeting a year, then I need to whittle it down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if they're only looking for one meeting a year, I might not be the right fit for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not the level of depth I'm trying to go to.
Mm-hmm. So real quick, what is your, like, do you have a niche, or who's your client?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's not the most specific niche in the world. I'd say it's more based on mindset than anything. Like, one, I'm looking for clients that want to collaborate, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they might want to delegate something completely, like investment management, right, that they don't necessarily need or want to be involved in details, but they want to collaborate over everything else, right? They want to get involved. They want to be, you know, have almost a friend-like relationship with me. They want to be pushed to talk about the deeper things with their money. So someone who doesn't just want one meeting a year with their financial advisor, and someone who wants to be challenged to be more generous with their money and also just really put some hardcore purpose and define that to what their money story is and their life story in general. And I would say, in terms of like some other characteristics of clients I work with that I've realized I work well with, usually, you know, it's guys and gals with variable incomes, maybe some high incomes, young professionals that need accountability, right? And they want to be challenged to line up their spending more with their values and their purpose, right? So those types of mindsets, I would say, and oftentimes people that have variable incomes, I'd say.
Okay, so that resonates with somebody out there watching this video. How do they find you?
Good question. They can find me on my website, wayfinderfinancial.com, as well as Wayfinder Financial on all the social media channels. I'm on Twitter at Russ Ford online. But yeah, that's how they find me. I'm also downtown Indianapolis, office-wise. I live in Butler, Tarkington, Broad Ripple area of Midtown Indianapolis, so spend a lot of time downtown and Midtown Indianapolis, and I'd say, you know, those are most of the people I work with as well, in terms of niche.
Final question. Isaiah Douglas and I just did this. 2020, what is the maybe one or two main things you're looking forward to from a business perspective?
Okay.
So as you look at Wayfinder going into 2020, what do you want to see have happen to make a successful year?
Yeah, it's a really good question. One, I think just what I've literally spent the last month or two really focusing on, and what I need to spend 2020 executing on, is getting really good at processes behind the scenes, so that I can enable myself to execute on the high level of service and client care conversations and spend that valuable face-to-face time not on rudimentary tasks, as well as just the behind the scenes time with more efficient, because I've been guilty completely in the past, this past 6.5 years of my life, recreating the wheel a lot, meeting to meeting. And so I'm really working hard behind the scenes on not doing that so that I can get more efficient. And I think that will lead to better client care is what I'm focusing on, which, then leads to growth as well. So yeah.
I wish I'd have been better about processes and workflows early on. So you're smart doing it out the gate. I really got those down 4.5 years ago.
Well, I'm lucky to have guys like you telling me that I should focus on that. So yeah.
Sounds good. Well, I thank you for swinging by. The whole plan was to do this last week, but we ran out of time. So thanks for swinging by. I know Thanksgiving's coming up, so you got stuff to do. But I appreciate it. I'll have links to all of your social media, websites, all that, in the show notes on All About Your Benjamins, but it'll also be in the comments on YouTube. Now is when I'm supposed to tell everybody to like, share, subscribe. I'm bad at doing that, but that's what I'm supposed to do to get this channel to blow up. So go ahead and like it, share it, subscribe, so you don't miss out on all these videos. Russ, happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for joining. Glad that we were able to do this 1 year from the first time we talked. We'll have to do it again next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll just make it an annual thing.
Tradition. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you in the next episode.